The rain felt colder than I remembered. I stood outside her flat in South Kensington, gripping a bouquet that was already half drowned. My fingers ached, but I didn't move. I'd been waiting an hour. She hadn't answered a single call. I whispered to myself, she'd come down. She always does. Headlights cut through the mist. A black car slowed near the curb. My chest lifted in relief until I saw him step out first.
Steph.
The man who'd once told me I was like a younger brother, and then she stepped out. Her hair was tied the way I loved. She laughed at something he said and touched his arm. That laugh used to be mine. I froze. My bouquet slipped from my hand and hit the pavement. He looked at her like she was his prize. She looked back like he'd saved her. Neither of them saw me at first. Maybe that was mercy. When her eyes finally met mine, she stopped smiling. Aaron? My throat burned. You didn't pick up my calls. She hesitated, clutching her purse. I was busy. Stefan's tone was casual, like we were at work again. Didn't expect to see you here, mate. Didn't expect to see you either, I said. My voice cracked. The silence between us was worse than the rain. Cars passed, people walked by, and all I could hear was the thud of my own heart. I asked softly, "Is this what it looks like?" She exhaled, eyes darting between us. "Aaron, please don't make this harder." "Harder?" I laughed quietly. "I brought you flowers. You brought my boss." Stefan stepped forward. "Look, things happen. We didn't mean for." "Stop," I cut him off. "You meant every bit of it." "You always mean what helps you win," he sighed. "You're overreacting." I stared at the man who'd once called me family. "You stole my project. Now my girlfriend. What's next, my soul?" Her voice trembled. "Aaron, I didn't plan this." "Didn't plan it?" I asked. "Then what did you plan when you stopped answering my calls? When you told me you were working late? When I stayed up waiting for you every night?" Tears mixed with the rain, though I wasn't sure whose they were. She took a step closer. "I'm sorry. I needed more." "More than what?" "Love? Loyalty? Me." She couldn't look at me. "More than struggling every day?" "I want a future. And you think he's the future?" I said. "He's a man who turns people into steps." Stefan folded his arms. "At least I climb, Aaron. You just stand still." I cut deeper than anything else. I whispered, "You used me to build your empire." He shrugged. "Business, mate. Don't take it personal." I laughed through the pain. "Business, right? That's what you call betrayal here in London now." She reached for me. "Please don't do this here." I took a step back. "Don't worry. I'm done doing anything here." Rain got heavier. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably Lena asking if I was okay. I didn't answer. He opened the car door and said quietly, "Move on, Aaron. You're better than this." I stared at him for a long time. "You'll never understand what better looks like." She whispered, "I hope one day you'll forgive me." I almost smiled. "Forgive you?" "No, I'll thank you." Her eyes widened. "For what?" "For reminding me what real pain feels like. It's the only thing that'll make me unstoppable." They got into the car. The sound of the door shutting felt final. As they drove off, I watched the red taillights fade into the fog. For a moment, I stood there alone, soaked to the bone, the bouquet crushed at my feet. Then I picked up one ruined flower and whispered, "You replaced me to hurt me, but one day, I'll replace your world." I walked home through puddles that mirrored the city lights. Each reflection looked like a version of me I no longer recognized, naive, trusting, weak. When I reached my flat, I dropped the bouquet into the bin and stared at my trembling hands. I'd never felt rage like that before. It wasn't loud or wild. It was quiet, controlled, alive. Inside, I turned on the lamp, grabbed a notepad, and wrote 5 words across the page. They'll remember my name. My reflection in the window looked different, colder, sharper, unrecognizable. I whispered to it, "This pain, this is my beginning." The city outside buzzed with life, cars hissing through rain. Somewhere out there, they were celebrating. But I didn't care anymore, because tonight, I wasn't the man she left. I was the man who'd rise because of it. And as I turned off the light, I promised myself the truth I'd never forget. You both taught me how to lose. Now, I'll teach you what it means to regret. When I walked into the office the next morning, the air felt heavier than usual. People whispered in corners. Screens froze mid-click when I passed. I tried to ignore it. I kept telling myself it was all in my head. I reached my desk and found a folded envelope sitting on the keyboard. My name, written in neat black ink. I didn't have to open it to know what it meant. Stefan's voice came from behind me. "Morning, Aaron, got a minute?" I turned slowly. "Do I have a choice?" He smiled, the kind of smile that hides a knife. "Conference room. Now." Every step to that room felt like a walk to the gallows. The blinds were half closed, the room dim. Stefan leaned on the table, arms crossed, like a judge waiting for a confession. I said quietly, "If this is about last night, it's about performance," he interrupted. "And professionalism," I laughed. "Performance?" "You stole my design," he smirked. "Your design? You built it on company time, using company resources. It belongs to us." "It belongs to me," I said. My voice was shaking, but I didn't care. He picked up a paper from the table. "Not anymore. Effective immediately, you're relieved of your position."
Oh.
I stared at him. "You're firing me?" "Letting you go," he corrected. "Don't make it ugly, Aaron. Take this as an opportunity to grow." I clenched my fists. "An opportunity to grow? You took everything." He stepped closer. "I didn't take anything. You handed it over the moment you trusted me." I wanted to hit him. Instead, I walked out. The office felt silent, frozen in shock. No one met my eyes. Marcus whispered from his desk. "What happened?" I forced a smile. Apparently, I grew too fast. A few people tried to say something but stopped. Maybe they were scared. Maybe they just didn't care. At the exit, I glanced back once more. Stefan stood in his glass office, watching me leave like I was just another file deleted from his computer. Outside, the sky was gray again. It felt like London itself had turned its back on me. I carried a half-empty box, a mug, a notebook, a photo of her. I almost threw it away, but couldn't by the time I got home. I couldn't tell if it was anger or heartbreak that kept my chest burning. That night, Lena showed up. She didn't knock. She never did. She stepped inside quietly. "You didn't answer my messages." "I didn't want to talk." "You should," she said, setting down a bag of takeout. "You look like you haven't eaten in days." I sat on the couch, rubbing my temples. "You heard, didn't you?" She nodded. "Marcus called. Said they made it public." "Of course they did," I muttered. "Why keep a quiet betrayal when you can turn it into a show?" She sat beside me. "What did he say?" "That I should take this as a chance to grow." Lena frowned. "Grow into what? A ghost?" I laughed bitterly. "Seems fitting. I already feel invisible." She looked at me for a long time before speaking. "You're not invisible, Aaron. You're just lost." "Lost," I repeated. "That's what people say when they don't want to admit someone's broken. You're not broken." "Yes, I am," I said, staring at the floor. "She didn't just leave me, Lena. She erased me. She replaced me with him at work, in life, everywhere." Her voice softened. "You don't deserve that. Maybe I do. Maybe I wasn't enough." She reached out, her hand resting on mine. "Don't say that. You gave everything to people who never valued it. That's not weakness. That's heart." I looked up at her. "Heart doesn't win in this world. Stefan does." Lena smiled faintly. "Then change the game." I stared at her, confused. "What does that even mean?" "It means stop trying to play fair with people who cheat." I wanted to believe her, but hope felt too far away. I can't just bounce back. "I've got nothing left." "You have talent," she said. "You have people who care about you. You have me." Those last two words hit harder than I expected. I wanted to respond, but my voice failed me. She sighed. "You don't have to say anything. Just promise me you won't disappear," I whispered. "I can't promise that." Lena stood, walking toward the window. "You know what hurts most about betrayal?" I looked up. What? It makes good people doubt themselves. Don't let him turn you into something you're not. I leaned back, closing my eyes. Maybe becoming something else is the only way to survive. She turned around slowly. Then make sure it's better, not colder. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the rain against the window. Finally, I said, "You think I can rise after this?" She smiled sadly. "I don't think. I know." Her faith felt heavier than my pain. I nodded. "Then maybe that's my start." As she left, she turned at the door. "When you decide who you'll become, make sure it's someone they can't ignore." The door closed softly behind her. I sat there in the dark, her words echoing. Someone they can't ignore. Maybe that was the answer. Maybe falling wasn't the end. It was gravity pushing me toward something greater, I whispered to myself. They think they ended me. But they just gave me a reason to begin. Days blurred into nights, and nights turned into something darker. I stopped counting them. My flat smelled like old coffee and regret. Empty bottles lined the counter like a gallery of mistakes. Lena called every day. I didn't answer. She texted, "You need to eat. You can't hide forever. Please talk to me." I read them all, then turned my phone face down. I told myself I was fine. That's the lie broken men tell themselves before they break again. When Marcus knocked, I almost ignored him too, but his voice cut through the silence. "I know you're in there, mate. Don't make me kick the door." I opened it reluctantly. "You look terrible," he said. "Thanks," I muttered. "I've been practicing," stepped inside, looking around at the mess. "This place looks like a crime scene." "Yeah," I said. "The victim's self-respect," sighed, setting down a bag. "Food, and before you start, it's not charity." I sat on the couch, staring at the TV that wasn't even on. "Why are you here, Marcus?" "Because someone has to tell you what's happening outside this cave." "I don't care, you will." He hesitated. "Stefan launched his new company. It's called Nexera. And he's using your designs." My chest tightened. "He what?" Marcus nodded. "The same interface, the same visuals, you can't miss it. They even mentioned innovative collaboration in the press release. It's your work with a new logo." I laughed quietly, though it sounded nothing like laughter. "He's bold. I'll give him that. You should sue him." "With what money?" Marcus frowned. "Then fight back some other way. You can't just sit here." I looked away. "What's the point? He's already won." Marcus leaned forward. "You're still breathing, aren't you?" "That means the game isn't over." I didn't answer. He stood and grabbed his jacket. "Lena's worried sick. Call her." When he left, the silence felt heavier than before. I poured another drink, but it didn't numb anything. Later that night, I finally picked up when Lena called. Finally, she said, "I was about to break down your door." "I was busy." "Doing what?" "Collecting dust?" I sighed. "Marcus told you to call, didn't he?" "No," she said softly. "I called because I missed my friend." Her voice almost made me forget the ache. "I'm fine, Lena. You're not. You sound like a ghost. Maybe that's what I am now." She was quiet for a moment. "He's using your work. I know. You're going to let him?" "What choice do I have?" "You can fight." "I already did." "I lost." "No," she said firmly. "You gave up." I rubbed my temples. "You don't get it. He took everything. My project. My job. Her." "I do get it," she said. "But you're still here." "That means you can take it all back." I laughed weakly. "You make it sound easy." It's not. But it's better than dying slowly in that flat. I looked at the dark window across the room. My reflection looked hollow. "I don't even know where to start." "Start with wanting to," she said. Something in her tone made me pause. "You really think I can come back from this?" "I don't think," she replied. "I know." The line went quiet again. For a second I thought she'd hung up. Then she said softly, "You can either stay broken or become the storm they never saw coming." Her words hit me harder than the whiskey. I didn't speak. She whispered, "Good night, Aaron." And the line disconnected. I sat there for a long time, replaying her words in my head. The storm they never saw coming, the rain started outside again, gentle at first, then harder. It felt like the city itself was daring me to move. I walked to the desk where my old laptop sat, covered in dust. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I hadn't touched it since the day I lost everything. For a moment, I almost turned away. Then I remembered Stefan's smirk, her silence, Lena's voice. I opened the laptop. The screen flickered to life, pale blue in the dark. Maybe this was what rebirth looked like. Quiet, messy, painful. I whispered to myself, "They'll never see it coming." And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel numb. I felt alive. The first time I met Dr. Adrian Wells, I didn't want to talk. He sat across from me, calm and collected, wearing a sweater that looked too soft for the world I was in. His office smelled like old books and coffee. He smiled gently. "You look like a man trying to outrun his own shadow," I sighed. "I'm not running. I'm just tired." "Good," he said. "Tired means you've been fighting. But you're still here." "I don't feel like it," I muttered. "You don't have to feel alive to be alive," he replied. "Tell me what happened." I hesitated. "I lost everything. My job, my project, the person I thought I'd spend my life with." He leaned back. "And what did you keep?" "Pain." He nodded slowly. "That's a start. Pain means something mattered. Now you decide what it will become." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "Revenge isn't noise, Aaron. It's silence that echoes." The sentence sank into me like a seed I didn't understand yet. For weeks I met him twice a week. Sometimes we barely spoke. He just listened. Other times, he said one line that changed everything. "The world doesn't notice your anger," he said once, "but it will notice your results." I carried those words home with me like armor. Marcus noticed the difference first. "You look less dead," he said one night, dropping by with pizza. "I've been thinking," I said. "Dangerous." "Funny," I replied. "But I mean it. I'm done hiding. I'm going to build again." He raised an eyebrow. "You mean code?" "I mean everything. My name, my worth, my company." He blinked. "You're serious? Completely?" "No." Marcus grinned. "Then I'm in. You don't even know what I'm building. Don't care. You've got the brains. I've got the contacts. We'll figure out the rest." That was how it started, not with a plan, but with desperation and 2 cups of cold coffee. We used my flat as our first office. My kitchen table became a workstation. My couch became a bed. My sleep became optional. Every night, I wrote code until the letters blurred. Each line felt like a small victory. I wasn't just writing programs, I was rewriting myself. Lena stopped by once. She looked around the room littered with cables and notes. "You're actually doing it," she said. She smiled. "You look alive again." "Alive and broke?" I said, half laughing. "Then you're doing it right." We stayed up for hours, talking about everything but the past. For the first time, her laughter didn't remind me of loss. It reminded me of possibility. Days turned into nights filled with debugging, design sketches, and endless caffeine. Marcus handled calls, investors, an impossible optimism. "Someone has to believe before the world does," he said. "Then keep believing," I replied, tapping away. "Because right now, this code is all I have." "Correction," he said. "It's all we have." He was right. For the first time in months, I wasn't alone in the fight. Weeks passed. Small wins began to stack up. A prototype that actually worked. A server that didn't crash. A message from a beta user that said, "This is brilliant." Each little success rebuilt something inside me that I thought was gone. One night, Marcus walked in holding 2 mugs of coffee. "You ever think about what you'll say when this becomes big?" I smirked. "I'll probably just smile, that's it." "Dr. Wells said something once," I told him. "Revenge isn't noise. It's silence that echoes." "I think I finally get it," he grinned. "I like that. Quiet victory. It's louder than any speech," I said. At 3 a.m., when Marcus finally passed out on the couch, I kept coding. The screen glowed softly, reflecting off my tired eyes. Every keystroke was a heartbeat. Every function I completed felt like reclaiming a piece of myself Stefan tried to erase. I thought of the night she walked away. The humiliation, the silence that followed. And now, here I was, still silent but stronger. By sunrise, I leaned back and looked at the finished module. It worked flawlessly. For the first time in forever, I smiled without bitterness. Lena texted just then. "Still awake?" "Always," I replied. She sent another message. "Then don't stop. You're becoming who you were meant to be." I stared at the words for a long time before closing my laptop. The city outside was waking up. Car horns. Distant chatter, the hum of something new. I poured the last of the coffee, raised the mug slightly toward the window, and whispered, "To the rebuild." For the first time, I didn't toast to what I'd lost. I toasted to what I was creating. I didn't expect Maya Reed to be the one knocking on my office door that morning. She walked in with confidence, not arrogance. Just quiet curiosity. "Aaron Cross?" she asked, voice calm, eyes sharper than her pen. "That's me," I said. "And you are?" "Maya Reed, The Times. I requested an interview about your startup." "You finally replied." I gestured to the chair across from me. "I was waiting to have something worth talking about." She smiled faintly. "You do now. Everyone's been whispering about your company, how it appeared out of nowhere, run by a ghost who doesn't like cameras." "Ghosts build quietly," I replied. She tilted her head. "You sound like a man hiding something, or someone trying to forget." I said before I could stop myself. Her pen paused. "Forget what?" "Let's keep it about the work." "Work is personal," she said softly, "especially for people who build from pain." I looked at her then, really looked the way she studied me, not as a journalist, but as if she recognized the cracks I tried to hide. She clicked her pen. "Tell me, what pushed you to start this?" "Loss," I said simply, "and pride. I lost both, so I decided to earn them back." "Someone hurt you," she said. Not as a question. I gave a half smile. "Haven't we all?" She leaned back. "Some people bury their pain. You built an empire with yours. That's a story worth telling. It's not finished yet." "Then tell me the beginning." I hesitated. It's not something I like repeating. She smiled faintly. "You don't have to repeat it. Just tell it once properly." I exhaled. I trusted the wrong people. They took my work, my name, and walked away smiling. I spent months staring at the ceiling, thinking maybe I deserved it. But then I realized no one gets to decide my ending but me. For a long moment, she didn't write anything. She just looked at me. "That's powerful," she whispered. "It's survival," I said. She smiled gently. "Sometimes the people who break us are the reason we become unforgettable." The words hit deeper than I wanted them to. "You always talk like that?" I asked. "Only when I mean it." I chuckled. "Dangerous profession. Only if the truth scares you." I looked down at my coffee, swirling the cup absent-mindedly. "It used to. Not anymore." "What changed?" I stopped waiting for an apology that would never come. She nodded slowly. "Closure doesn't always knock. Sometimes you have to build the door yourself." I laughed quietly. "You sound more like a therapist than a journalist." "Occupational hazard," she said. "We listen more than we write." The interview drifted away from the company into something else. Not romance. Not friendship. Just two people talking like the world wasn't watching. We spoke about music. London Rain, broken dreams. She told me how she lost her brother years ago, and how silence became her habit. "I write so I don't disappear," she said. "I build so I don't break," I replied. She smiled softly. "Then maybe we're not that different." Hours passed like minutes. When she finally stood to leave, I felt an odd pull, not attachment, but recognition. "Thank you," she said, packing her notebook. "Not for the interview, for being honest." "I wasn't planning to be," I admitted. "That's what makes it real." You ever think about forgiveness? Every day, I said quietly. Still not sure who deserves it. Maybe you do, she said, and left. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It felt lighter. That night, I sat at my desk long after everyone else had gone home. The city lights flickered through the blinds, and for the first time in months, my thoughts didn't echo with anger. Maya's words replayed in my mind. Sometimes the people who break us are the reason we become unforgettable. I leaned back, staring at the half-finished code on my screen. Maybe she was right. Maybe the fire that burned me down was the same one that would light my path forward. I turned off the monitor, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Quiet peace. When I finally went to bed, I didn't dream about her or Stefan or revenge. For the first time since that night in the rain, I slept without bitterness, without noise, just silence. And in that silence, I felt something returning, not love, but light. The invitation sat on my desk for days, gold lettering, bold and smug. Stefan Hale presents The Future of Tech. Marcus whistled when he saw it. You going? I shrugged. He expects me not to. That's exactly why you should, he said. Walk in there and make him choke on his own arrogance. I smiled faintly. You always make revenge sound poetic. It is, he grinned. You just have to perform it right. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my tie. The reflection looked like someone I used to know, steadier, sharper, quieter. Confidence wasn't natural anymore. It was Armerlina texted. You sure about this? I'm done hiding, I typed back. They thought they buried me. They didn't know I was a seed. The words made my chest tighten, not from pain, but purpose. When I arrived at the event, cameras flashed like gunfire. The hotel lobby glittered glass walls, silver lights, too much champagne. Every face turned toward me as I walked through the doors. A reporter whispered, Is that Aaron Cross? Another muttered, Didn't he disappear after the scandal? I smiled to myself. Keep whispering. Stefan stood at the center of the room, laughing too loudly beside the woman who once shared my heartbeat. Her dress shimmered gold under the lights. Her hand rested on his arm, rehearsed, practiced, empty. When she saw me, her smile froze. Aaron, Stefan said, voice tight but polished. Didn't think you'd show? I clasped his hand briefly. Wouldn't miss it. He chuckled. Still dramatic, I see? Still stealing other people's work? I asked quietly. His grin stiffened. You haven't changed. Oh, I have, I said. You just don't like what I've become. Lena's words echoed in my mind. Become the storm they never saw coming. I turned to her, the woman who once held my dreams in her hands. You look well, I said calmly. She nodded, voice small. Aaron, I don't, I interrupted. Tonight isn't about the past. It's about performance. Stefan laughed, but it sounded forced. He's always had a flair for theatrics. I smiled. At least I have something original. People nearby pretended not to listen, but leaned closer anyway. He gestured toward the stage. Enjoy the show. You'll see what real innovation looks like. Walked away before I said something sharper. Marcus found me near the back of the hall, sipping water like it was whiskey. You handled that well, he whispered. I'm not here to argue, I said. I'm here to watch him fall. The lights dimmed. Stefan took the stage, all charm and confidence. Tonight, he declared, we redefine the future of digital systems. He unveiled a sleek interface, something eerily familiar. My code, my layout, my logic, Marcus muttered. He actually used it. I was counting on it, I said quietly. I had filed the patent months ago, quietly and legally. The moment his demo went live, every server pinged my system for authentication, mine, not his. Seconds later, the screen behind him flickered. Lines of code appeared, my signature embedded in every file. The crowd murmured. What's happening? Someone asked. Stefan turned pale. There must be a glitch. I stepped forward. That's no glitch. All eyes turned toward me. That's proof of ownership. Gasps filled the hall. Reporters lifted their phones. Cameras clicked furiously. Stefan stammered, You can't just barge in here and I built that code, I said, and the system knows its creator. The screen flashed again, this time showing my company's name in bold white letters. Lena whispered, Aaron. I met her eyes, but said nothing. The silence stretched, heavy and delicious. Finally, Stefan forced a laugh. This is absurd. He's lying. Marcus shouted from the crowd, then prove it. No one moved. Minutes later, investors began shifting toward me, curious, eager. One of them extended a hand. Mr. Cross, we'd love to hear more about your platform. I smiled. Happy to discuss. I believe integrity is the future of tech. Stefan's face drained of color as people surrounded me, not him. She stepped closer, voice trembling. You planned this. I rebuilt myself, I said softly. You just helped me find the reason. Her eyes glistened. Aaron, I didn't mean to don't, I said. You made your choice. This is mine. Cuss. Clapped my shoulder. You just stole the spotlight back. I didn't steal anything, I said, glancing at Stefan. I reclaimed it. The music started again, but the energy had shifted. Every smile now turned my way. Every handshake carried new respect. Stefan tried to recover, laughing too hard, but no one was listening anymore. I looked around the room, the place that once would have made me small. Now it felt like mine. As I left the hall, I caught a glimpse of myself in the glass doors, the man they buried. Walking back into the light, they thought they buried me. I whispered under my breath. They didn't know I was a seed. Outside, London's night air felt cleaner, sharper. Marcus joined me on the steps. That was beautiful. It was justice, I said. He grinned. Same thing? I looked up at the skyline. Lights flickering like new beginnings. The night wasn't over, but the balance had shifted. And for the first time in years, I walked away not as the man they broke, but as the man they couldn't bury. Her message came out of nowhere. We need to talk. It's about Stefan. I stared at it for a long minute, heart thudding like an echo in my throat. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part, the one that had learned to read silence, knew this wasn't random. I met Chloe Hayes that evening at a quiet rooftop cafe. She looked nothing like I remembered, calm, composed. But her eyes had the kind of regret that doesn't fade easily. Thank you for coming, she said softly. I wasn't sure I should, I replied, my voice careful. Stefan's ex calling me out of the blue doesn't exactly scream friendly conversation. She smiled faintly. It's not. It's truth, overdue truth. I leaned back, crossing my arms. Go on. Chloe took a slow breath. He stole your prototype. The words hit me harder than I expected. What? I have proof, she continued. Emails, internal reports, timestamps. He didn't build that software, you did. He took your design, your framework, everything. And, she hesitated. He made my sister get close to you just to gather more. For a moment I couldn't breathe. The noise of the city faded. You're saying... I started, but she cut in gently. Yes, she whispered. She was part of it. He convinced her you were dangerous, that working with you was risky. He wanted her to gain your trust so he could learn your process. I clenched my jaw. So, all that time, every smile, every late-night conversation was an assignment? Chloe's gaze dropped. At first, yes. But she fell for you. That's what ruined his plan. That's why he started destroying her reputation too. He used everyone, Aaron, even me. Her voice trembled slightly, but I stayed silent. The anger burning inside me wasn't loud. It was cold, sharp, measured. I should have come sooner, she added. But I was scared. I kept hoping someone else would expose him. Then I saw your company on the rise, and I realized you didn't need to destroy him. You were already doing it. I looked at her for a long time. Why tell me now? Because I can't live with it anymore, she said simply. You deserve to know the full truth before you face him again. I nodded slowly. Thank you, Chloe, for what it's worth. I don't hate her. Or you. She looked surprised. You don't? I did once. But now I see it differently. He didn't break me, he built my silence. And silence is louder than vengeance. Her lips curved in a small, tired smile. You sound like someone who's already won. Not yet, I said. But soon. She slid a flash drive across the table. Everything's on there. Emails, files, meeting recordings. Use it however you want. I took it carefully. You realize this could ruin him? She met my eyes. He ruined enough lives. Its time balance found him. As she stood to leave, I asked, "Do you regret him?" "Every day," she said, without hesitation. "But I regret staying silent more." After she left, I sat there, staring at the city lights below, each one flickering like a memory trying to fade but refusing to in my head. Stefan's voice echoed from that night years ago. "You'll never make it without me." I smiled bitterly. "You were right," I murmured, "but only because I had to learn who I was without you." When I got home, I plugged in the flash drive. My screen filled with evidence, my stolen code, my presentation slides. Timestamps matching the nights I'd been too tired to notice anything missing. Marcus called just then. "You okay?" "You sound quiet." "I met Chloe," I said flatly. There was a pause. "And she told me everything." "Damn," he muttered. "What are you gonna do?" "Nothing. Nothing." I leaned back in my chair. Revenge isn't fire anymore, Marcus. It's frost. It waits. It settles. And then it cracks everything open when no one's looking. He whistled softly. "You've changed, man. I had to." We stayed silent for a while, the line humming faintly between us. Finally, I said, "You know what's funny? I thought beating him would mean taking everything he stole. But now, I think just existing, thriving, is enough." Marcus chuckled. "That's cold. It's peace," I corrected. After we hung up, I watched the code on my screen lines I once wrote with hope, now proof of betrayal. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I just felt cleared. On the reflection of my monitor, I saw myself not as the man who lost, but the man who learned to rise quietly. They thought they buried me. I whispered to my reflection, echoing words I once said at Stefan's event. They didn't know I was a seed. I ejected the flash drive and locked it away. I didn't need to leak it. I didn't need chaos. Karma doesn't need an audience. I just needed to be ready when it arrived, and it would. It always does. The courtroom smelled of tension and cheap coffee. Cameras flashed like lightning through glass doors. Reporters whispered names that once made headlines. His name, not mine. I stood at the back, hands in my pockets, heart steady. Stefan sat in front, pale and smaller than I remembered. He didn't look like the man who'd stolen from me. He looked like the man who'd stolen from himself. The judge's voice was calm, merciless. "Evidence confirms intellectual property theft, misrepresentation, and fraudulent activity." Each word struck like a hammer. The documents Chloe gave me had done their work. His company, his empire, his facade, all built on my designs, now crumbled in the light. When it ended, Stefan didn't move. Cameras surged toward him as he walked out, flanked by silence. I followed, not out of spite, but to see the ending I never got. Outside, the air buzzed with questions. "Mr. Reed, how long did you know? Is it true he used your prototype? Do you plan to take over his firm?" I didn't answer. I wasn't here for the noise. Stefan stopped halfway down the steps, turning toward me. The crowd parted like water. His eyes found mine, tired, red, pleading. "You planned this," he said, voice breaking. I looked at him, steady. "No, you did." He flinched. For the first time, there was no arrogance, no mask, just a man watching his world collapse. "You could have ruined me quietly," he whispered. "Why go public?" "I didn't," I said. "Truth did." Porters leaned closer, catching every word. "I didn't care. This wasn't performance, it was closure." He took a step closer, voice trembling. "You wanted this. Admit it." I shook my head. I wanted peace. This is just the noise that comes before it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The weight of years, betrayal, silence, vengeance hung between us. He looked down, shoulders slumped. I thought I could outsmart you. You did, I said quietly. For a while, and now? Now you face what I once did. Loss, disbelief, public shame. But there's one difference. He frowned. What's that? I learned from mine. Stared at me, breathing unevenly. You're not even happy, are you? No, I admitted. That's the point. He blinked, confused. You mean all this wasn't revenge? It was truth finding its way home, I said. Revenge ends with destruction. Truth ends with freedom. He looked at the cameras, the people whispering, the empty space where his confidence used to live. I guess freedom isn't for everyone. Maybe not, I said. But peace is. He laughed, low, bitter. You sound like him. Who? Your therapist. The one who told you revenge was silence. A faint smile tugged at my mouth. He was right. I forwarded a long second. We just looked at each other, not as rivals, not as enemies, but as two men who'd finally reached the end of a war neither truly won. Then he turned away. Walking into the crowd that once adored him, flashbulbs followed like vultures. Marcus appeared beside me, his tone low. You did it. No, I said. It did itself. He frowned. You don't even look satisfied. I'm not. I exhaled slowly. I thought I'd feel something, relief, victory, maybe joy. But all I feel is quiet. That's what peace sounds like, Marcus said. We watched the chaos unfold, investors arguing, lawyers shouting. Stefan's name plastered across screens in bold red letters. CEO exposed in massive fraud scandal. I remembered the night I'd been fired, the shame, the disbelief, the sound of people laughing behind closed doors. Now he stood where I once did, and still I felt no triumph, just balance. Marcus nudged me. What happens now? I go home, I said. That's it? That's everything. He grinned faintly. You're colder than I remember. Not cold, I corrected. Calm. We left the crowd behind. As I walked through the city, the same streets that once felt too heavy to bear, I noticed how light they'd become in a cafe window. The TV replayed his press conference. Stefan stood there, trembling, reading a statement that sounded like an apology written by someone else. I never intended harm, he said. I lost my way. I looked away. So did I thought. The difference is, I found mine again. When I reached home, I poured myself a drink, not to celebrate, but to breathe. The ice clinked softly, like a heartbeat slowing down. My phone buzzed. A message from Chloe. It's done, I replied. Yes, finally. Then I sat back, watching the city lights pulse through my window. Each one flickered with life, with movement, reminders that the world keeps spinning, no matter who falls. For the first time in years, my mind was silent. No anger, no what-ifs, no ghosts. Just stillness. I whispered into the quiet. Revenge was never mine to take. Peace was. Outside, a soft wind brushed against the glass, almost like an answer. And I let it go. The city looked different now. Or maybe it was me. The skyline that once mocked my failure now shimmered like a reward earned, not gifted. My company's name glowed on the tower across the street. Mine, not anyone else's. Maya leaned against my office door, arms crossed. You're still working at midnight again. I smiled faintly. My habit dies slow. So. She stepped inside, her heels soft against the carpet. You know, most people would be celebrating after closing a global deal. Not most people. She tilted her head. No, you're not. That's why they follow you. I looked up from the computer screen. You mean fear me? Respect you? She corrected. Big difference. I leaned back, rubbing my temples. It's funny, I used to think I needed revenge to feel respected. And now I know I just needed purpose? Maya smiled. Took you long enough to figure that out? Yeah, I said softly. Some lessons need pain to stick. She studied me for a moment, then said quietly, You've healed, haven't you? I hesitated, then nodded. Mostly. Some ghosts still whisper, but they don't stay long. She smiled again, turning to leave. Then maybe it's time you stop working and start living. When she was gone, the silence felt peaceful instead of heavy. The glass walls reflected a man I barely recognized, not the broken one from that night in the rain, not the desperate one begging for answers. Just me. The phone buzzed. A single message. Her name lit the screen like a ghost resurrected. I'm sorry. For a long time I didn't move. I just stared at it, the words frozen in light. Lena's voice echoed in my mind from months ago. You can either stay broken or become the storm they never saw coming. I'd become the storm and pass through it. Now, I didn't need thunder anymore. Marcus's voice broke the quiet as he stepped in, holding 2 cups of coffee. You look like you've seen a ghost. Maybe I have. He raised a brow. Her. Yeah. I turned the phone toward him. He whistled low. Wow. After all this time? I nodded. After everything. So. What are you going to say? Nothing. He blinked. Nothing. Nerd. Come on, man. You've got to say something. Closure, at least. I shook my head. Closure doesn't come from words. It comes from walking away and not needing to look back. He studied me, then smiled faintly. Never thought I'd hear you say that. I didn't either, I said quietly. Guess pain can teach wisdom better than peace ever could. Marcus sipped his coffee. You think she regrets it? Probably. I looked at the city lights below. I'll bet. That's her story to live with, not mine. He set the cup down and clapped my shoulder. Well, your story's working out fine. Investors love you, your app's breaking records, and Maya, I cut him off with a grin. Don't start. He laughed. Fine, but admit it, she's good for you. She is, I said honestly. She doesn't try to fix me. She just sees me. Marcus nodded, eyes soft. You deserve that. Maybe for the first time, I said. He left soon after, and I found myself alone again, but not lonely. Just alone, in the way peace feels after a long war. The message was still there on my screen, unread. I hovered over it for a moment, then locked the phone and set it aside. Some things didn't need replies. I walked toward the window. The city stretched wide beneath me, alive, loud, unstoppable. Somewhere out there, she was probably scrolling through old memories, wondering if I still hated her. I didn't. Hate had burned out long ago, replaced by something cleaner, indifference, wrapped in understanding. I pressed my palm against the glass, the coolness grounding me. You replaced me to hurt me, I whispered under my breath. But I replaced your world with one where I no longer needed you. For a moment I closed my eyes. I saw her face that night. The rain, the car door closing, the way my heart had shattered. But when I opened them, all I saw was light. My reflection smiled back, calm, unshaken, free. Maya's voice echoed faintly from the hallway, laughing with someone on a call. The sound felt warm, real. I turned off the lights, letting the city's glow fill the room. My office, my company, wasn't built from revenge. It was built from the ashes of who I used to be. I took a deep breath. Revenge ends with loss. Rebirth begins with peace. The skyline blinked in rhythm with my heartbeat, steady, strong, alive. For the first time in years, I felt weightless. No past, no bitterness. No ghosts, just silence. And in that silence, I found everything I'd been fighting for.